Hi, I'm Matt, and I'm becoming a morning person.
I don't know what you want. Let's have a bit of fun till I downfall. My love, if you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side, my love. You say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. You say you wanna cry, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose.
You see, everything started changing for me in the morning when I started thinking about it differently. I've never been able to become a morning person, and I've tried over and over and over again. I've tried for probably 10 years now, and it was almost torturous. Every night I would try to get ready for the next day, and I would make a plan for what I was going to do the next day, and then I wouldn't follow through on it, or if I did, it would be just for a day. I couldn't string the days together and actually build the habits and routines required to be a morning person. Something changed. I started to deconstruct what a morning routine actually is and started to look at it as the components of it. See, it's not just wake up and run a morning routine. It's a little bit different. What's required of a morning routine means that you have to wake up and you have to stay up, and then you have to do your morning routine. So I wanted to just accomplish the first part of that. So the first couple weeks, I started just waking up at 4:50. I just wanted to stay up until 6, because most of the reasons why we don't follow through on our habits is we don't have the time to do the habits. So my first goal was just to create that space, create that time, and eventually, over time, I'd be able to fill that space with the productive things that I wanted to do in the morning to set my day up. That's what really changed it for me. So instead of having the pressure of waking up and following this itinerary, waking up and doing a cold shower and reading and writing and working out and all these different things, I had to look at it and be honest with myself. Am I actually doing those habits? Because if I'm not doing those habits, not only am I trying to wake up and go against my biology and my established circadian rhythm, but I'm trying to also add 4 or 5 other habits to my life. It's too many things. So when you start thinking about it and say, okay, over the long term, if I could get my morning routine, my ideal morning routine done and have it established in 3 months or 6 months from now, would I be upset? And I started looking at it and I'm like, well, it's taken me 10 years to get to this point, and I'm not upset if I would have it today. So what's stopping me from just starting to build that morning routine, starting to build that space to have that morning routine, and then slowly and incrementally adding the parts and the components to it that are going to get me to that ideal morning routine? The pressure we put on ourselves in the morning, I think, is what causes us not to become morning people. The thought that we have to do all of these things and put them in these time slots and follow these routines, these 5 a.m. club routines, the 20-20-20 formula, or morning miracle routine, or any of the other routines that you see online right now, those were probably years in the making. It probably took the creators of those morning routines years or decades in order to establish it. So I think that when we look at mornings, we don't really think about it like a lot of other things in our life. Like, you see someone in the gym that's really fit, and you know the work that went into making that happen for them. It wasn't just built overnight. They didn't just decide one day to become really fit. It was over the course of months or years decades even to get the body that they have. So why do we look at morning routines any different? I think we're swimming upstream if you think that you're going to wake up, not only just wake up, but then also do all of the other parts of the thing that you want to do. And I had to kind of check myself at some point, and it was like 5:54, and I was like, well, I didn't do anything that morning. It didn't feel productive. But why does the morning have to feel productive? The whole point of a morning routine is to set your day up to not be in a reactive state. It's to be in a proactive state. So if you're going to wake up and then put yourself in a stressful situation where you have to follow this list of things, you're just setting yourself up for failure. You shouldn't wake up and feel guilt ever when you're trying to do a morning routine. It's just not a good way to go about it, and it's going to cause burnout. Oftentimes it's just like a diet. If you do something to the extreme, it's not going to be sustainable. So I think the better way to go about it is to ease your way into it. Start by just creating that time slot so you have the time to do those routines, and then incrementally add those habits that you want and try different things out. I think having a rigid morning routine is something that's going to cause you to have issues. Like, why can't we be flexible for our morning? Why can't we just do what we're feeling that day? Some days you're more tired. Some days you have more energy. If you have more energy, you can go work out in the morning. If you're feeling lethargic, just go read or go write or just sit there and enjoy a cup of coffee. Like, why does it have to be so strict? And the other side of it, the other component, is the identity around being a morning person. What usually happens is when you identify with something, your actions end up following what your identity is. But having an identity for something is something that's it's a gray area. Like, how long does it take someone who's starting to run to identify as a runner? Do they have to do it every day? No. Even when you're like training for a marathon, you have off days. So why don't we treat mornings more like that? If someone runs 2 or 3 times a week for the course of 3 months, you would call them a runner. They would identify as a runner. But when we talk about morning routines, it seems so binary. It seems like something that you have to do all the time, otherwise it's a failure. And I think that's just a wrong way to looking at it. I don't know if that's society's way of looking at it, or I don't know if that's because other people aren't thinking about it as this incremental build of a habit. But as soon as you identify as being a morning person, it'll start coming together. And it might only take doing it 2 times a week, 3 times a week in order for you to identify with that. And it's all up to you. It's not how anyone else perceives your identity of being a morning person. But like my situation, I've woken up more times in the last 3 weeks at 4:50 than I ever have in my entire life. I've hit probably 70-75% of the days, and the days where I didn't, I gave myself grace. We're in this for the long haul. I'm trying to develop this habit so I can retain it over the course of my life. If I miss a day, it's not a failure, it's not a setback, it's just part of the progress. And then you also look at it and say, well, how did that make me feel? Maybe I needed a day off. Maybe I needed my body to rest a little bit, so then the next day I can wake up early and get after it. And believe me, I was not a morning person. If anyone knows me, they know that I am not a morning person, or I wasn't a morning person. I would sleep in. I mean, in college, I had to set my classes at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon because I just couldn't get up. I had no regimen in the morning. I had nothing to ground myself in the morning. And I had so much friction in trying to create that it caused so much frustration that it deferred me from doing it. And my fiance was joking yesterday that 6 months ago, I went to her and I was like, I think I'm just not a morning person. I think I'm just not going to do this. And I truly believed that. But something shook in me the last couple weeks where I was like, I'm going to give this a try. And it was at the end of 2025. And all of a sudden it started clicking. But that's because I was thinking about it differently. I was trying to create that time slot. And then the rest would just fall into place. I'd put the pieces together once I had the structure established. Once I was just waking up. The metric for success that I was putting for myself wasn't waking up and doing a bunch of different things. It was just waking up and staying up. And that was it. That was a win. And now I'm starting to put the pieces together and starting to put other good habits in there and starting to read and write and meditate and pray and put all the good things that I thought I would need to start my day on a positive note. I didn't want to wait until I actually was fully a morning person and have, 3 months or 6 months of this habit established before I started recording this, is I think it's good to see someone going through the process, and I'm going to create a lot more content about this. I think on the other side of a great morning is a great day, and you stack those days up and all of a sudden you have a great life. The peace you get from having a good morning and easing into the day sets your day up for so much success. It sets it up for so much non-reactive. The little things like spilling your coffee or forgetting your lunch or having someone cut you off in traffic don't bother you as much because you're setting yourself up to ease into the day and you're prepared for what life is inevitably going to throw at you. So if you're like me and want to become a morning person, or maybe you're trying and it's not working, I have a community for you. We have a Discord called Built Before Breakfast that I made, and I'm trying to get as many people as possible in there so we can create a community of like-minded people that are trying to overcome the obstacle of becoming a morning person. So if you're interested, there's a link below. Give the video a like, subscribe to the channel. We're gonna do a lot more stuff like this, and we're gonna become morning people one day at a time.